She's tiny, but she truly is a giant among us, a pioneer of the civil rights, workers' rights, LGBT rights, and equal rights movements. She has not slowed down one bit. She runs the Dolores Huerta Foundation and continues to travel the country supporting equality and defending civil rights. 2 months ago, in true Dolores fashion, she held a dance party for her 85th birthday celebration, and she outdanced everyone there. It gives me great pleasure to present the 2015 William O. Douglas Award to my dear friend, Dolores Huerta.
Muchas gracias. Thank you. Thank you very much, Jane. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Public Counsel. I feel so very honored to be recognized by this awesome, awesome organization. And I loved the inclusion of our relationship with Robert Kennedy. And I do want to introduce somebody that's in the audience, the person that actually connected Robert Kennedy with the United Farm Workers, and that is none other than Paul Schrade. Paul, could you just stand for a quick second here? Paul Schrade was the West Coast District Director, I should say the west side of the United States of America, for the United Auto Workers Union. And he is the one that brought Robert Kennedy to Delano, California, when we were right in the middle of our big grape strike that we had back there in the 60s. And Paul Schrade, you should also know, because they did show something on the screen there when Robert Kennedy was taken away from us, that Paul Schrade was one of the individuals that was actually shot during that assassination of Robert Kennedy. And he still, I think, has the bullet in his head, right, Paul? Yeah. And he has been working very judiciously to re-examine that assassination of Robert Kennedy. Because, can I say this publicly, Paul? Sure, okay. Once I started, anyway. Because he and many others are convinced that maybe the person that was actually arrested and accused for that assassination may not have been the one that actually killed Robert Kennedy. Public Counsel, anybody interested out there? But, and another person that I want to introduce that's in the room here, and I think he's way in the back somewhere, and that is Irv Hirschenbaum. Irv Hirschenbaum is the vice president of the United Farm Workers. He was a young student at Stony Brook University when we went out on the Great Boycott, and I organized Irv. He went on to Cornell, got his degree in, I guess, relationships between labor and management, and he went straight to work for the United Farm Workers right out of college, and he is still there. Maybe he can work his way up to the front eventually, Irv, so people can see you, okay? He's a great human being, Irv Hirschenbaum. And I do want to thank so many of you that supported the Farm Workers Union. I'm sure there's many of you in here that never ate a grape or ate lettuce or boycotted a gallon of wine, and many of you that still contribute to the United Farm Workers Union. And I myself left the union in the year 2002 to go back to kind of that basic grassroots community organizing that I was taught by another great human being that I have to mention, and that was Fred Ross Sr. Now, if I ask how many in the room know who he is, you probably have a handful of people here. And the reason that people don't know him, because he was such a great organizer. Because what a great organizer does is that they actually develop leadership in other people. And that is what Fred Ross did he's the one that found Cesar, and he developed his leadership. He organized me in a house meeting. And to continue that kind of grassroots organizing that Fred Ross taught us, then this is what I started to do when I left the Farm Workers Union. Of course, this is the way that Cesar and I actually organized the union, by meeting in people's homes, 4 to 6 to 8 people at a time, to show them that they could make the changes that they needed to make. And so I have formed this organization called the Dolores Huerta Foundation, where we are doing the exact same thing. And right now, by the way, we are partnering with Public Counsel, actually, in some of the work that we're doing, because we are going after our educational system, which right now is really, as many of us here in this room know, it's really the school-to-prison pipeline. The school-to-prison pipeline. And we have an educational system that is not working for our kids of color. We know that for Latino children, when Pete Wilson and company decided to get rid of bilingual education, that devastated many of the young people that were coming, the immigrants that were coming into this country, especially after we passed the amnesty bill back in 1986. And so you don't have to speak English to learn math or science, but many students were deprived of being able to learn. And so we have this now because of many, many laws that are passed, with the truancy laws and many, willful defiance, etc. So we're part of a statewide organization with Public Counsel that is working on all of these issues of discipline right now for our children. We recently, with other public interest groups, have filed a lawsuit against our Kern High School district in Kern County. Kern County, for those of you who don't know, is over the hill. There's a big area up there called the Central Valley, right? And this is where many of the farm workers, of course, live and work and pick our food every day. But their children are being deprived of quality education. Our lawsuit is based on the fact that in a 2-year period, they actually suspended and expelled close to 3,000 kids. African American students, almost 600% higher than white kids. Latino kids, almost 500% higher than white kids. And so we are in a ditch battle with our Kern High School district. And what I'm saying to this about what's happened in the Central Valley, which by the way is something like Selma, Alabama, it's happening all through the Central Valley. It's happening in many places in the Southwest, and I think even in parts of Southern and Northern California. This is a very serious issue. I really like to think that the education issues right now, it's a civil rights issue that we have for our kids of color, and it's got to change. So I want to thank Public Counsel for being involved in this. And I do want to thank everybody out here that is contributing to Public Counsel, and that we have to continue to work. And we have to also think of not just the representation, but the policy changes at the highest level. I think one of the greatest things that I learned in organizing way back in the 50s with the community organization where we first started is that ordinary people, that they can get out there and that we can change the laws. Way back in the early 50s, in the 60s, I should say the late 50s and the early 60s, we were able to change laws, like getting driver's licenses in people's ethnic language, getting ballots in the Spanish language, taking away the citizenship requirements that you did not have to be a U.S. citizen to get public assistance. Just think today of the millions throughout the United States that are actually getting the Affordable Care Act, because they're residents of the United States, but not necessarily U.S. citizens. So we know that we can continue that work. We have to do it through organizing, and of course we have to do it on the grassroots level and also on the legal level. And this makes, of course, a real powerful combination that we can make things happen. And I do want to mention a couple of other organizations besides, I mentioned my own, the Dolores Huerta Foundation, which, by the way, you can look it up with DoloresHuerta.org, where we see to find out. You can Google it on the internet. But we're also part of another organization called California Calls, which we do grassroots phone banking, going canvassing door to door to let people know about the issues. The big issue that we're going to be working on for this next year, I'll let you know about it right now, is to get some reforms in the property taxes, commercial property taxes. We want Disney and Chevron to pay their fair share of taxes, okay? So we'll be calling on people to do, that'll be a really, really big issue that we'll be working on for next year. And I want to mention one other organization that both Jane and I are on the board of, and I know they're one of the sponsors of tonight's event, and that is People for the American Way. This is Norman Lear's organization, and the reason I'm mentioning People for the American Way, because we know another way that we have to make changes is that we have to get good people elected. People for the American Way has a great program called Young People For, where they go out and they recruit young people to run for office. And once they get elected, it's called Young People Elected, and then they continue to mentor them while they are in office so that they can continue to improve and to really make themselves effective while they're in office. And I'm happy to report that they have almost 1,000 young people under the age of 35 that have now been elected to different offices throughout the country, including 8 members of Congress. So I just want to close by sharing the words with you that I learned as an organizer, and that is to remember that we have the power. Each and every one of us has a power that we can really make the changes in our country, but we know that we have to work together to do it. And you saw it in the video, and so I'm going to do it here. And I'm going to just remind everybody who's got the power, okay? And so I'm going to say, who's got the power? And I want all of you to say, we've got the power, okay? Can we do it? Okay, let's do it. And we have to do it really, really loud because we have a lot of people here in this room that are supporters of public counsel, and they're making the changes that we need to make. So I'll shout it out, and I want you to shout back, who's got the power? We got the power. And then I want to say, what kind of power? You say people power, okay? Okay? What kind of power? People power. Okay, let's do that one more time. So this time I want to say, who's got the power? I want you to say, we've got the power. And when I say, what kind of power? You're going to say legal power. Okay? Okay, let's go one more time. Who's got the power? We got the power. What kind of power? Legal power. Legal power. So let's say a big old viva for public counsel for this great work that they're doing. So, and we'll keep contributing so that they can get even stronger. And maybe you can come over to the Central Valley, okay? We need you over there, okay? So I'll say, Viva Public Counsel. Everybody shout a big old viva. Que viva Public Counsel! Viva! Que viva Public Counsel! Viva! Que viva Public Counsel! Viva! And, yes, can we continue doing the work that needs to be done? Do we say yes we can? No. We're going to say it in Spanish. We're going to say, sí se puede. Okay, everybody, put your hands up. We're going to do a unity, organized hand clap. Let's go. Sí se puede. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much for this great honor. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.